there aren't many artists that have had an effect on me in the way that The Weeknd has. Abel Tesfaye. When I reflect back and just think about what his work has done for me and how it's impacted my life as a whole, it's humongous. And it's funny because I don't even listen to him that much anymore. I don't listen to his music as much as I used to. I used to listen to it religiously every day. In fact, he was one of the only artists I listened to for almost probably over a year straight. Like I was just listening to his whole catalog. I was trying to understand him, understand the messages in all of his songs. I was just dissecting everything about Abel. I was trying to through all of his songs. Um, but I've just recently been reflecting on the way that different things have impacted me in my life from like more of like a psychoanalytical place. Like I'm trying to understand I try to understand like why specific things impacted me the way they did and why I was gravitated towards certain things. And one thing that keeps coming to my mind is The Weeknd's music. Um, I keep trying to understand what it was that really gravitated me towards his stuff. Um, when I first started listening to The Weeknd, it was through a girl I was dating. She listened to some of his more popular songs like Blinding Lights and Save Your Tears, and I was like, these are cool. I mean, I heard of The Weeknd. Obviously, I heard like some of his big hits like The Hills and Can't Feel My Face, but I never like really listened to them, you know? And so I liked it. I was like, this is cool. And then um I saw he had music like that he posted a long time ago, like long time ago, and it was called the Trilogy, and it was composed of these three mixtapes: House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence. And when I listened to these mixtapes, I mean, everything changed for me like that fast. And what I mean by that is, I remember the morning. Actually, me and this girl had broken up. This was like years ago. I went to work the next day. I worked at a pizza place, and so I would get there like really early, and after I like roll dough for hours before like any of my coworkers would come in. So I just have a I always had a bunch of alone time. Um, and I remembered that there was this album that I'd been wanting to listen to, and it was called Trilogy. It was all of The Weeknd's music composed into this big uh, big compilation album. And I was like, you know what? We just broke up. I'm feeling terrible. Let me just put this on. And immediately it was something that I'd never heard before in my life. Um, I bawled my eyes out to the album, to the songs. It was just so beautiful and raw and dark and so authentic, and like it brought out like all these like almost like disturbing feelings um that are like really dark to face and feel and confront. It was just something that I'd never experienced before, and I was like, what is this? Who the hell is this guy? um because again, I never really considered listening to his music. It was never really my type of style or anything. My style was really small at the time. I like only listened to rap and West Coast rap. I had like no flavor in music like at all. Like, don't get it twisted. On the West Coast, I knew like all artists. Like I was super tapped into like the West Coast hip hop scene and honestly a lot of the hip hop scene around America. But other than that, I wasn't listening to anything. And so like this was like really eccentric for me to listen to, and it just happened to be the Trilogy that really kind of like like opened up this world for me. And I just remember listening to it, and it just had such this effect on me where I wanted to start making music like in a different way that I had in the past. In the past, I didn't really make music. I just would take beats off of the internet and rap over them and throw them out. But something like really shifted inside of me. And I think it was more of an expressive thing. It was like, I want to express myself in an authentic, raw, and by whatever means. Like, I want to do this, and I want to do what I'm hearing right now. I want to do what the Weeknd is doing. Um, Long story short, I ended up, because of listening to this and falling in love with his music and with his story and the whole uh, his whole artistry, I started taking singing lessons, and that went on for 2 years. And I've been singing since. I mean, I'm out of practice now, but I took many lessons with a wonderful coach, Michael Bryant. He was absolutely incredible, and we're still friends to this day. It's so cool. Um, and I don't know, it really changed my relationship to art as a whole. Like, I was like, here's this guy making music that is so authentic and so dark and so raw and disturbing. It was new for me at the time, because whenever I made art in my past, whenever I rapped or made these songs that I was making, it was from a place of um, trying to perform or trying to like appear a certain way in the public eye. And it was like, I want people to think I'm cool, and I want people to think I'm this. But here was this guy, like, this, just putting his struggles and his hedonistic behavior and all of his shame. He was just putting it all on the plate and was like, here it is, guys. Here it is. Here's this dark, grungy, painful, black and white mess of my life. Here it is. And I mean, I wasn't thinking about it like this at the time at all. Like, this is this ability to like really look back and analyze why I was so attracted to his work is a new thing for me. And um yeah, I that's what it was, the authenticity. um those songs were so painful, so excruciatingly painful. Those songs, to this day, I put them on and I get the same feeling that I had back when I first listened to it in the pizza shop I worked at. Same feeling. I get transported to that place. It's almost like sinister. It's so dark. Um, it just feels like you're being like taken advantage of in this. I don't know. It's just so his music is just so, I guess, sinister in that way. Like, it's just this cloud that looms over you, and it's just so, but it's in the most beautiful way. Like, it's in the most beautiful way because it's so honest. And throughout the Weeknd's career after that, I mean, whether it's After Hours, the way he opens After Hours, and he says, "Take off my disguise. I'm living someone else's life." That he can confront himself, and that he can have that awareness to do introspection and realize that, as he says moments later, I'm living someone else's life. That he's like performing, and that he's doing all of these things that are not true to him. And that gives me the chills when I think about that. Was albums later, that was years later. He dropped the trilogy. He dropped those 3 mixtapes in 2011. After Hours dropped in 2020. But that he was able to look at himself and see all the performing he's been doing, the Weeknd persona. I mean, I just related so much to that myself in my life, like just trying to be this person for everyone and try to be this guy that could be liked by people and fit in and do all these things. In the Weeknd's early music, the trilogy was him just sharing those struggles, and I just related to that. But then he became more vocal about it. Actually, I don't even think that's true. I think he was just going about it a different way at that time. I mean, he was being so honest about his struggles with himself and with the woman that he interacted with in his relationships, and his relationship to life and fame and money, and just all of this stuff, just how it was affecting him. He was so vivid and clear. It was like he was just like, he's like this transparent uh piece of glass, and we can all just see through him, and we're like, wow, that's really fucking dark. um yeah, like his story is so beautiful. He so introspective, and even from the themes of like the sexual nature of it, the deep, dark sexual nature of his songs, and how sexually explicit they are. Even that is so fucking beautiful. Like that he's able to take it to that place and be really raw, because it feels like his music feels like sexual intimacy. It feels like you're just in this one-on-one space and it's really intimate, and like you're like naked. Like that's literally how it feels. Like it has that feeling. Um his music just has that feeling. Um but to go back to really where the resonation in the trilogy, and just the Weeknd as a artist, like where all this resonance comes from, I think it's really just I related to what he was saying and depicted in so many ways I had no idea I was. Um, and I think that's why all of us, not even just for the Weeknd, but for any artist or for anything that we're attracted to in life, I think there's a deep reason why that is. You know, there's like sayings in the East, like uh, whatever you seek is seeking you. Like nothing is random. We're attracted to things because we relate to them in some deep way, or they touch us deeply. I was just never able to look at things with the lens I have now. Um, I can just see how I wanted to be authentic so bad. Here was this guy, The Weeknd, being so authentic. It hurt. It hurt so bad. It was so painful. It literally hurt my chest. And it was just so beautiful. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. I went on to make so many songs. I mean, maybe over 200 might be a stretch. Maybe over 100 songs with like a trilogy-esque aesthetic. I never released any of them because I just never felt like my voice was right, and I never just felt like I was ready, I guess. I have like problems with perfectionism and stuff. Um, so I just never ended up posting it. But made so many songs inspired by that. I made House of Balloons spin-off song. Like, I mean, House of Balloons, for example, House of Balloons slash Glass Table Girls, that record is phenomenal. I mean, he's talking about how awful this atmosphere is, and how just dark, and it's suffocating. It's just like it's choking. It's hard to breathe in this place. And but the music sounds so happy and fun and giddy, and this is a happy house, and it's like everyone's dancing, and it's like woohoo, but it's so dark. Like it just feels like that song feels like there's just clowns everywhere, like with these creepy smiley faces, and you're in a really old, like abandoned home with like black and white balloons everywhere, and there's like naked skinny white woman on drugs, and um it's just like disturbing, and it's like a horror movie almost, because it's just so like it just portrays the that sheer hedonistic desire in such a dark way, and what the pursuit of hedonism and pleasure can do to the mind. And again, he depicted it so beautifully, because people are so scared to be honest in that way. It's hard to confront our dark sides and be honest about these things that we feel. He just took it all up and went, he just boom, put it all down. um it's just so beautiful. It's really incredible. Really so incredible that he was able to just do that. And I think that's why so many people like myself were attracted to his music. Um, but to go back to the House of Balloons slash Glass Table Girls uh, song, I remember I made a song and I called it Party of Pain, and it was with a Susie and the Banshees. It was with one of their samples. This really amazing producer made it. I found him on YouTube, and he allowed me to use it. And it was a phenomenal beat. It was very similar to House of Balloons, but in its own way. And I basically wrote a similar song to him, but I was just saying how ugly and disgusting the party was rather than, um, but kind of like him. Like it was inspired to like make it sound fun, but the lyrics were like, whoa, this is awful. Like I was just so inspired by the thematics and just the way this everything he would portray. I mean, The Weeknd would create these beautiful worlds, whether it was Trilogy or Kissland or Starboy or Beauty Behind the Madness or After Hours, Dawn or Hurry Up Tomorrow. I mean, he would just create these worlds and just depict his stories so incredibly well. Um, to skip a lot of his stuff, I mean, I could talk about The Weeknd for freaking hours, dude. But to skip to like Hurry Up Tomorrow, and one of the last songs he dropped on the record is the one where he lost his voice. This one gives me the chills when I listen to it because I was at that concert when he lost his voice. It's my very first concert I ever went to. This was when, again, I was a huge fan of his work. I'd been listening to him for like over a year straight. He was like the only artist I religiously listened to. And then it was like he's doing a concert in Los Angeles. I was like, I'm gonna go to my first concert ever. Oh my God. Anyway, I went by myself. And I was so excited. There was like a K Tronada did a set before, Mike Dean. And then it was time for The Weeknd, and he started and he was singing Alone again. And he lost his voice. His voice just he like strained and he just couldn't bring it back. And that moment had a huge impact on me. Not only was it my first concert and I drove up 4.5 hours to go see him, and then I drove back. I had to drive back after, and it was awful. I mean, my sister lives in LA, so I stayed with her that night, and then I left like really early in the morning because I was just so sad and disappointed. But that show and The Weeknd created an album, not only created an album, but like having a moment of realization in his life that like, wow, like I'm just like this performer that is using my voice to like numb my pain, and I'm not really like caring for myself and my body. I just heard him saying this in an interview before I started this video. He was saying that like he was just a performer, and he wasn't giving himself that care. He wasn't listening to himself or how he felt or taking breaks. He was just working exhaustively, and he was just stuck in that place of, I don't know, like that Hollywood mindset, or I don't know what you would call it, but just that mindset of someone that's of status to that extent. Like you just need to work all the time and do this and appear this way and be this character and make sure you're like, it's really, really dark. There's a really interesting After Hours skit that The Weeknd did with Jimmy Kimmel. And he's with Jimmy Kimmel, and they're like, thank you everybody. And like The Weeknd like thanks him, and he walks into the hall, and you just see The Weeknd as he like starts walking away from people, his face slowly just like turns to very straight, and then it starts looking very disconcerted and very anxious and unhappy and in a really desolate. And I think that he was just realizing that he had so many parts about himself that he just wasn't being so open and honest with. And I think Hurry Up Tomorrow was the last album The Weeknd dropped. I think it was for him like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to, address this persona and this character that I'm playing. I'm tired of it. I don't want to do it anymore. And I just find that so beautiful. But these are all topics that I related to so much. I never really had the capacity to do introspection to this level and to see it through this lens. Um, but back to the concert when The Weeknd lost his voice, that song he made about it on "Hurry Up Tomorrow." And I apologize for how tangential this video is. It's all over the place. Please forgive me. um, that song sends full body chills up my spine. Like, it's so devastating. You can just hear him, like, it's like a cry out for help. He knows that the crowd will scream his name. He knows that everyone will look at him and kiss his ass and be yes man and tell him how great he is. He knows that he'll just be glorified by millions for the work that he's done and for all that he's accomplished. But none of that matters. None of that matters because because he was leaning on that instead of leaning on himself and having a good relationship with himself where he could be honest. And that's not to make presumptions about Abel as a person. That's honestly what I take away from his art, and just my interpretation of it. But it seems like he didn't have himself. He was just leaning on everything. Let it be woman, his fans, money, whatever it may be. He was leaning on all of that, but he never had himself. And I think that's something he realized throughout his whole career. And it's so beautiful listening to his music because he'd always been so introspective and self-aware, and that he could realize that or demonstrate it to such a high degree. And his last album is just phenomenal. Yeah, this was important for me to make. I don't know, I respect his craft so much, and he's had such a big impact on me. Even though I don't listen to his music that much anymore, I started listening to it a little bit recently, and that's kind of where all these thoughts that I've had stirring around his art came from. But yeah, he's had such an impact on me. He is, yeah, just someone I'll forever bring up in with the highest regards for his art and his craft and his authenticity and his vulnerability. I love his music so much. There's just something about those first 3 mixtapes also that are they're just different. They're just different. I love all of his music though. All of his albums are so beautiful in their own way. He's an exceptional artist. But yeah, that's how he's had an impact on me. Yeah. Very large impact. Very large. Yeah, I think that's all I had to cover for this one. Yeah, my mind is like blank right now. I don't know if it's because I'm nervous or don't know. But yeah, thank you for watching if you did. It was Test Phase the GOAT. Peace out, everybody.